Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Second Star to the Left. I'm Michelle, and this is my daughter, Billy.
Hi.
And here's where we'll share board game reviews, ramblings, and a few wrong turns along the scenic route. Today is our first in a series that we're going to call Late to the Game. These are games that we didn't pick up until a bit later than most people. Games that are a bit older, but deserve a little love. After all, if we didn't get to them until later, there are other people out there that haven't either. Have you seen how many games come out a year? No one can keep up with that. Or maybe you have this one on your shelf and you just haven't dusted it off for a while. I'm all about buying new games. Well, not during August and September's No New Game Challenge, being good. But in general, I love new games. Learning them, teaching them, smelling that new board game smell. But in order to justify keeping all of these, it's important to play your shelves and give those old games a turn at the table. And it's nice to play games enough that you aren't diving back into the rule book between turns and rounds. So today's Late to the Game is Fugitive. Published in 2017, designed by Tim Fowers with art by Ryan Goldsberry. We are big fans of Fowers games here. Burgle Brothers, paperback, hardback, word domination, love them all. So why did it take us so long to play this one? I think we didn't understand how this little cat and mouse game of numbers and deduction could be fun. I mean, there's actually a bit of math in here. Math. No, don't leave. It's just a smidge of math, honest. The box describes this game as a tense two-player deduction game full of close calls and great escapes, all packed into 10 minutes. It's a quick, intense chase between the fugitive, who's trying to get out of town, and the marshal, who's trying to catch them before they do. It's a 10-minute game in a small little box with great artwork and a tense theme. Have a look at this box with a little magnetic snap lid. It's made to look like a briefcase. I mean, come on, that's solid design.
It's so cute.
But when we first looked, all we saw was a numbers game. Let me show you a bit about how this works and why we were wrong to think that. The components include 43 numbered cards, 0 to 42, 23 event cards, 2 reference cards, the board, and a notebook for clues with a dry erase marker. That's it. That's all you need to play this game. Setup is very easy. You sort through the cards by number, giving numbers 1, 2, 3, and 42 to the fugitive to start, placing 0 in the center row, and making 3 piles from the remaining cards. These piles are sorted into groups 4 through 14, 15 to 28, and 29 to 41. Each pile is then shuffled and placed onto the center board. The fugitive then draws additional cards to make up their hand, 3 from the first pile, 2 from the center pile. Gives them a few extra hideouts. The marshal is given the notebook and the dry erase marker, and that's it. For this example, we aren't going to be using the event cards. In fact, we never do. But I'll explain that a little bit later on. The win conditions are different for each player. The fugitive wins if they can escape to card 42 without having their hideouts discovered. And the marshal wins if they can expose all of the fugitive's hideouts. Thematically, this works so well. You're hiding and searching through these decks of cards, and the tension continues to mount as the marshal starts to catch up, and each decision the fugitive makes can leave them cornered. When I first looked at it, though, I didn't see much game in this game. I mean, you're just guessing numbers, right? But that's the trick. You are guessing numbers, but the fugitive can be deceptive, like fugitives are. And when it's the fugitive's turn, they take a card and then place a card face down with a number that is within 3 of their last hideout place. So if the last hideout they placed was a 4, they can place a 5, 6, or 7. Unless they sprint. See the feet in the corner of the cards? They can be used to sprint, to move further than 3 spaces when you place a hideout. Each card has 1 or 2 footprints on it that allow you to add in increments of 1 or 2 to the distance between hideouts. So if you played a 4, but you want to move up to a 10, you need to have 3 extra footprints. Make sense? you're moving 6 spaces. You could already move 3, and now you need to add 3 more. Those cards are placed underneath, so the marshal can see that the fugitive sprinted. Or did they? Because the fugitive can add cards and not sprint, throwing the marshal off the track. So you're managing the cards in your hand, trying to guess your opponent, and doing, just a little bit of math. Now, if you're the marshal, you have your handy-dandy notebook and a pile of cards that tell you where he can't be. And each turn, you look for evidence or, draw a card. And then you can safely mark that number off your sheet because you know it can't be a hideout. Then you use your detective skills and guess a number where there's a hideout. If you're right, the fugitive has to turn over that card as well as any cards they use to sprint there. And yes, they're allowed to check which numbers they've played. No one is expected to remember all of that.
I have to check often.
But if you're feeling especially confident, you can guess multiple numbers at once. Go on, guess 4, 7, 9, but here's the catch. If even one of them is wrong, they don't have to show you any, even the correct ones, and your turn is over. You're back to walking the mean streets and checking for clues. There's one other choice for the marshal, and I haven't had it happen too often, but in a last effort to win, after the fugitive plays card 42, which means they're pretty much going to win, and if the highest card revealed is a 29 or lower, the marshal can declare a manhunt. With this brave move, the marshal starts guessing numbers one at a time until all hideouts have been revealed. Maybe. With each correct answer, the marshal gets one more guess, but miss just one and the fugitive gets away. How's that for thematic? Let's talk about those center piles of cards real quickly because here's where some more strategy is going to come in. On each player's turn, they draw a card. It can be from any of the 3 piles. Knowing that the fugitive can only run up to 3 away from the last hideout without sprinting, the marshal may start to take cards from the higher piles. This is going to minimize places where the fugitive can hide later in the game without having to save up cards to sprint. The available numbers start to get very, very limited. The fugitive might see that and start taking higher cards as well. It's a balance between the cards you want to sprint with or need to sprint with and cards you want to use for hideouts. Use up all your cards sprinting and you'll have to pass and not put down a hideout on your turn. That gives the marshal a bit more time to catch up with you.
That is usually how I lose.
That is usually how you lose. The last thing that's in this box are event cards. These are thematic little cards that help or hinder the players along the way. Obstacles or tools to be used, like a street musician gets in the way of the fugitive running, or a stakeout allows the marshal to see their opponent's card. Here's the thing though, we don't ever use these. The game is so clever and the rules are so streamlined that it takes away from the experience to upset that balance. Back in the olden days, we used to rate games on our blog. The blog still exists, but we don't review too many games on there these days, now that we have this channel. But I thought it would be useful to use the system that we used to use. We used Second Star as an acronym of sorts to put together our thoughts on games. Second, is it good for 2 players? Well, obviously, as this game was designed to be for 2 players, only it shines this way. The whole game is a cat and mouse chase through the deck. Setup. Setup takes a few seconds and is shortened up a lot if you sort the cards when you clean up. Hand out the starting cards, sort the 3 decks, shuffle, you're all set. Theme. This little magnetic box that looks like a briefcase is clever and useful. It keeps the cards organized. The cards are playing card size with a nice matte finish. The art by Ryan Goldsberry is such a great retro fit for this theme. I love Ryan Goldsberry's art on other games like Grand Carnival, Burgle Brothers. He's definitely a favorite. I did manage to break the center board, but that was user error, not the fault of the game. The only thing I would have liked in here is an eraser for the dry erase pen, but that's not that big a deal. The theme of hunting for hideouts, searching for the fugitive, it comes through really well. Action. This is a quick 2-player deduction game. The mechanics of the game are simple. You aren't going to be checking the rules once you get through your first play. You draw a card and either place a hideout if you're the fugitive or guess a hideout if you're the marshal. The game excels because it's simple. Replayability. I've talked about this before, but there's more to replayability than variety. The question isn't, can I play this over and over, but will I? And for this game, the answer is yes. Like any card game, variety comes from the shuffle of the deck. But for this one, it's also in the bluffing and the chase. And also because without fail, after we play it, we want to switch roles. You're always sure you can outsmart your opponent with one more try. Since setup is so simple and the game itself only takes about 10 minutes, this gets played quite often. We obviously recommend this game. Lots of player interaction, great travel game. If you haven't tried this one, give it a try. Fugitive by Tim Fowers. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you see,
or if you want to keep watching until we get one right,
then just please like, subscribe, and share. As always, open tables, open minds, and play yourselves. Cards, and the tension continues to mount as the Marshal starts to catch up, and the Marshal. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see...
Oh, great.
Good, let's try that again. You did like one job.